Hello everyone and welcome to Long Bridge Park. I'm Michael Shea along with Katie Cristol. We're here for the YULA Invite, a really big tournament where Arlington student athletes get to compete against students from all up and down the East Coast.
And we've learned that they are actually hosting. The Arlington students and their family are hosting their competitors, which really reflects the spirit of sportsmanly conduct and collaboration, I think, on display in this tournament today.
And no refs.
And no refs, really. Spirit of the game, we've learned, is one of the values of Ultimate Frisbee, which we love hearing about, that kind of sportsmanship on display. And sportswomanship, right, Michael?
That's right, because Ultimate Frisbee is a relatively new sport in many ways, but St. Timothy's, who Wiley is playing against today, has an incredibly long history in scholastic sports for girls.
For women, one of the oldest rivalries in scholastic women's sports, dating back to 1901.
That's right. All right, well, the players have warmed up. The sun is finally out. I think it's time for some Ultimate.
Game on.
So we're here this morning at the YULA Invitational Tournament for middle school and high schoolers in the Mid-Atlantic region of the United States of America. We're playing Youth Ultimate, the Youth Ultimate League of Arlington. We have two teams this morning, and this game watching here is the Washington Lee Yorktown team from our own Arlington Independent Media area, and another team from St. Timothy's and Woodson High School. It's actually their first tournament, so we're happy to have them here today. But we're hoping to have a good game. It's a glorious day this morning. Had some rain earlier today, but now we are here for some serious Ultimate. The Washington Lee team from Yorktown has been playing together for 2 years now, and this is they get one more year and have to split up into two independent squads. So Ultimate is a game, if as we did before, with 7 players on the side, and there's a starting pull, must get a kickoff from the football to the other team, and the other team picks up the frisbee or catches it, and then they must advance the disc down the field by throwing and catching it all the way down the field without dropping it. As long as they don't drop it, or it doesn't go out of bounds, or gets knocked away, it's still their disc, and they can throw it anywhere they want on the field, forward, backward, and throw it any way they want on the field. Upside down, backwards, forwards, or around. And so, and there's the pole landing on the field, and the team from St. Timothy's picking it up and getting in a stack, ready to throw the frisbee. So you can see the player there has a disc. Oh, there's a dump back to the third behind, and more cutting. Oh, and a deep by Washington Lee. So now it turns, it goes on defense. Oh, and a throw for a score for Washington Lee. So that was a quick D and turn point at Washington Lee, and they scored a goal. I'm here with my son, Nicholas. Nicholas, can you say hi?
Hi.
You're recording with the camera.
And so we are here for this game of Ultimate Frisbee, and we are so happy to be here. It's a glorious day. So we have had 2 quick goals from the Washington Lee Yorktown team, who this is not their first tournament. They've been playing for a couple of years now, and they clearly have a number of experienced players who have played in the tournaments before. But this is the first tournament for St. Timothy's, Woodson, who've been joined by some players from Woodson High School. And so they are just learning the game a little bit. It's good to have them out here, but maybe a bit of a challenge for them because they're literally just learning the game. This team is, I learned, only 4 weeks old, and so the players themselves are very, very new to the game. But the best thing about
Yeah, you're recording.
So the best thing about Frisbee is everyone can play Ultimate Frisbee. It can be short, fast, tall, slow. All that matters is running and throwing and catching. And so, so there was a pick called on the field. A pick called is when somebody gets in the other person's way, and that's not allowed in Ultimate Frisbee, so the disc has gone back to the thrower. So as I said, there's 7 players on the team, and they have, once you catch the Frisbee and there's somebody called a mark on you, you have 10 seconds to throw it to someone else on your team. And in those 10 seconds, you can throw it anywhere on the field, and as long as they catch it, it is still your team. So just there, we had a turnover for the Timothy's team. It'll be picked up by the Georgetown, the Wiley team, Washington Lee, Yorktown. Oh, and they are cutting deep. A big throw. Oh, but could be a turn here. Oh, a turnover. Another big deep throw. So a couple turnovers back to back here. The best thing about Ultimate is it is constant action. So as soon as the disc lands, the other team can catch it and throw it, as just happened there. So Washington Lee and Yorktown Wiley now has the disc again, moving down the field. They're doing a nice swing around, and now the player with the disc is looking for an open target. There's some good D being played by the St. Timothy's team. Oh, there's an open cut and a throw downfield. Another throw into the end zone for a goal. So Washington Lee, Yorktown, the Wiley team, has scored 3 goals now. And they're having a little chat in on the field to celebrate their goal. And the team from Timothy's is walking down the field, preparing to receive the next pull of the game. So I'm here today with
Wendy LeBolt. I'm learning. I'm new at this game.
It's a new thing for Wendy. She's a soccer player, but she loves sports and loves women's sports. And so we're happy to have you here this morning. Wendy, what brought you out here today?
Well, Arlington Independent Media actually asked me to come out, and I always love to learn a new game. I'll confess, I watched an ESPN coverage of some professional Ultimate so I could learn how this works. And it looks very much to me like a combination of soccer and football.
It is indeed, Wendy, exactly right. It is a great game because the most amazing thing about it all is there are actually no referees. At this level, and many levels in the game, you can play without referees at all. It's all player operated. And so players call their own fouls if need be, but the players abide by what's called the spirit of the game. And the intention is to play within the rules at all times. Of course, fouls do happen on occasion, but usually they're unintentional. And if you are fouled, you call the foul yourself. If the player who fouled you, or may not have fouled you, disputes your foul call, there's a compromise solution. So every situation, you can call a foul. If the player agrees there's a foul, the foul is rewarded, and you get the appropriate outcome. If there's a dispute, you bring it back and do it again. It's a very simple system.
It would be very interesting to see our National Football League or our Major League Baseball or our Major League Soccer abide by that just for one game to see how it works.
Exactly. It is an amazing system.
These players are enjoying the fact that they're being commentated on, I think.
They are. Totally. So yes, this is the Wiley team of veterans playing here today. We're still hoping to get a roster so I can give you some team names and numbers, but we're working on that. But now I think the score is now 3-0 for Wiley over the St. Timothy's team. So Nicholas, this is my son Nicholas. Hey Nicholas, go back down, Pickle, and make the score 3-0 for Wiley. So make the score 3-0 for Wiley. 3. Good job. So now what's happening now is that we're waiting for the pull from the Wiley team down to the Timothy's. Pull is what starts the play. One player on the team throws it as far as they can down the field, and as soon as it gets down to the other field, it becomes other team's Frisbee, and they will try and march it back down the field and score a goal.
Now, does it have to go over midfield on the first pole? No.
Nope. Anywhere you can throw it, you usually throw it as far as you can, but sometimes in a windy game, you can throw it and it comes back to you. It doesn't go anywhere at all. And it actually may happen tomorrow. So once the Tennessee's team catches the Frisbee, they will try and catch it and march it down and catch it in the end zone for a goal. And traditionally, Frisbee games are played to score, not a time, but there is a time cap. And so now they picked up the Frisbee here. They're looking for a target downfield. And there's a pass. Defended by Wiley. So it's a turnover now, back to the Wiley team.
So they'll pick it up and start it from there.
Exactly. It's an instant turnover, and they move right away.
And the player with the disc can't move with the disc.
That's correct. Excellent point. So once you have the Frisbee, you have to stand still, and everyone else in your team can run anywhere on the Frisbee, anywhere on the field, and try and catch it and throw it to you.
Including looking behind you.
Yes, you can throw it. Almost a catch, but a drop. So back to Wiley again.
So these players look like they're working very hard
Yep.
to get open to receive the disc.
Yep. So the Wiley team has to do what's called a stack, where they line up on the field to try and create open space for cutters. There's a nice swing pass to the side, and now a dump back to a player behind who's looking downfield. But a turnover there. Nice catch by. But a D again. So quick turnover there.
So now it belongs to Wiley again.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. It's instant and constant action. There's it's much like soccer. There's no breaks in the play, except for in this league, you can call timeouts during play if you get tired. Almost a catch there, but a turn. And once again, it is back to the Wiley team. So they're about 10 yards out of the end zone now. They will probably pick up the disc and get a nice straight line on the field. There's called the stack, and they try and cut from off the stack. There's a deep cut down the line, and now an in cut. But two cutters cutting different ways, and one dropped the disc, so it's a turnover again back to the St. Timothy's team. Yeah, the score is 3-0. Yeah, the score is 3-0.
So the marker can get as close as she wants without touching.
The rule is a disc length apart. It must be a disc. So if you're too close, you say disc space, and you hold the disc in front of you. You do it again, you call a foul, and it goes back to the stall count back to 0 again. There's a drop in the end zone from the Wiley team, so it becomes again a disc for the St. Timothy's team. We're walking up to the end zone line. So if it's in the end zone, we walk it up to the front of the end zone and go from there. And they will start the disc on the end zone line and try and get it down the field. But this new team is having a bit of a hard time with their catching and throwing. Clearly, they haven't played a lot, but they're still having fun, I think. And they are trying hard. A nice pass into the end zone for a goal. So Nicholas, that makes the score 4-0 for Wiley.
So is there running up the score? Would one change your players out to make it a more competitive match? Do you call it a match, a game?
You call it, we usually call it a game.
A game, okay.
And yes, definitely, you will, a game like this where you're playing a team with less experience, you will let the whole team play and try and, when everyone's still learning the game, there's definitely an opportunity to try and spread out the talent and give everybody a chance to play much as you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. They're working on it still, I think. So we now have roster for our St. Timothy's team, and Woodson High School team. There's a combination team from St. Timothy's and from Woodson. We have Mo, number 49, Ronnie, number 36, Alina, number 37, Thompson, number 40, Santa, number 29, Rose with no number, Salima, number 28, Tochi, number 76, Chimi in a white shirt, and then the Woodson team, also on the same team, combo team, is Cindy, number 35, Ann, number 816, and Naomi, number 86. And we're happy to have them all here today. So now we have a timeout on the field. Either team could call a timeout, 2 per half usually in most games. And take a break and strategize and try and think about what you want to try and accomplish. The coach of these team is trying to give his players some strategy about how they can do a little better advancing the frisbee down the field, while the volley team is focusing on their defense right now. They'll begin doing the pull down the field and setting up to play defense.
Now this is it's not just a backyard game. A frisbee is pretty darn difficult to throw and pretty darn difficult to catch, and so it's not so easy to run and catch and defend all at the same time.
There's a lot going on, indeed, but it is, the simple throw and catch you're standing around isn't too hard, but when running on the field, it makes it much more challenging. You have to throw to the right space, you have to know when to throw, and people trying to block you from the catching and throwing. So it does make things much more complicated. But frisbee's been around for a long time. Actually, it was founded in the 1960s. And the first games were played up in the northeast of the U.S. by a high school team. And it has grown and grown. It's one of the fastest growing sports in the world. And there are now beach tournaments played on beaches around the world, co-ed tournaments. Oh, a downfield throw from Wiley and another goal from Wiley.
So Nicholas, they weren't ready for that turnover, right?
No, the team from St. Anthony's is having a little hard time figuring out the transfer from offense to defense. As soon as the turn goes, they need to get ready to play defense right away. So Nicholas, the score is now 5-0. Take the score 5-0, Nicholas. Thank you. Here's our scorer today, my son Nicholas Young. Good job, Nicholas.
So on the pull, if they try to catch it and they drop it,
it's a turnover.
It's a turnover, so that's what happened there.
Yeah.
So if they don't try to catch it, they let it land and pick it up, then they don't have that risk.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you catch it, just catch it. The defensive team can just, if they drop it on D, it's not a turnover. You have to just knock it down. Anytime the frisbee hits the ground or is out of bounds, it's a turnover to the other team once you establish control.
Okay.
So the fastest growing segment of Ultimate is actually in the high school division, which is very exciting. Good to have young players coming into the game. But there are also more middle school teams like these kids here today. Actually, this is high school.
I think it's mostly high school here.
This is high school.
Yeah.
Sorry, there are
or charter schools, private schools, all over the place schools.
But there are middle school teams here as well. It's a tournament, I'm to say. There are in this tournament, there are middle school teams as well.
So in a high school, would it be a sponsored sport? Like would it maybe start as a club?
Yes,
and
I believe all these are club teams. Mm-hmm. The team yet that has there might be a couple of varsity sports in the whole country that play. There are a couple of very well-known high schools. Padilla High School in Atlanta, Georgia. It's a very famous high school team. They travel across the country playing in tournaments. But the majority is the club teams, and that's true within college as well. Mm-hmm. The annual college championships is held every year, and that will be happening this May. Oh, here goes part of my roster. Thank you. So here we have Wiley with this again. A quick throw downfield. Another throw downfield, a little bit too far with a turnover back to the St. Anthony's team. They will pick it up and see if they can get a completion out of this turnover. Oh, here's a cut on the inside.
The play looks awful compressed. It's tough for them to get it out.
Yes, they need a little bit more space. That's one of the things they need to learn. Oh, almost got it. Yeah, the most important thing about Ultimate is to make sure you're using your space wisely. And spreading out on the field is really a priority to give you enough space. Oh, and there's another goal for Wiley's. Players rush the field. It's become a bit of a tradition in Ultimate to rush the field after your scores. Nicholas, that is the score 6-0. The Wiley's team really has been playing for a while. They have some experience about how to structure their offense, so they have a good sense of how to set up on the field, where to make cuts to. And it looks like this team's Timothy's is still learning those factors, but I think it actually is a pretty rapid learning curve, and there's definitely opportunity to try and get better quickly. And tournaments like this, they can see how their opponents are playing the game, and hopefully they can learn a lot from their opponents.
So is it an expensive sport?
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Oh, now we have a roster for Wiley. Excellent. No, actually, the best ultimate is a very easy sport. All you need is a field and a frisbee.
Yeah.
And actually, traditionally, for a long time, people played barefoot. That's mostly gone these days. People are a little more serious. But for a long time, many players played barefoot. And there's still some residue of that very laid-back attitude. Is what we call frisbee time, which is you show up late, you play when you get to playing. It's becoming less and less true. But in the olden days, everything started at 10 o'clock, which started at 11:30. It was just ridiculous. Now, over the years, we've become much more professional, and we are much better about starting on time, and so actually we've come a long way. And actually, exciting news happening in the last year was that this is now an officially, I'm not quite sure the correct word, it's not quite recognized, but it has been recognized by the Olympics as a possible future sport.
Okay.
So it potentially has been under consideration to become an Olympic sport.
I did read that may be on track to for the 2024 Olympics. I thought I saw.
Oh, so that was a drop on the pole.
A drop on the pole. Okay.
Again, sadly, it's a turnover, and again they didn't get back on defense, and a quick goal again for Wiley. So Wiley is really capitalizing on the mistakes from Timothy's. That makes the score, now, I believe, 7-0. Wiley's showing lots of experience here, and they are really demonstrating that they have a firm grasp of the basics of the game. On the turn, they run on the end zone and turn and score. So now we have the Wiley roster here in front of us. We'll give you a quick review of that. Number 4 is Caroline Bruder. Number 5, Ken Kia. Number 7, Maggie Pendleton. Number 8, Coco Collinson. Number 10, Sydney Kane. Number 11, Adrian Matthews. Number 12, Isabel Vasquez. Number 13, Marley Cobb. Number 18, Athena Banet. Number 21, Ayumi Yazawa. Number 22, Abby Lewis. Number 23, Sophie Hickey. Number 32, C.C. Butcher. Number 34, Lily Pond. Number 35, Steffi Schofield. Number 37, Kat Sands. 38, Lucy Kaur. And 42, Lucinora Wagner. Number 46, Dom Matterell. And finally, number 56, Christina Mack. Number 70, Sai. Number 95, Rachel Hess. Number 97, Misha Putnam. So a big team there for Wiley.
Yeah, a lot of names on that list for Wiley. And I'm only looking at, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players? Maybe 11 players for the... yeah.
So
it's got to give them an advantage.
Yes, and so the way you play Ultimate is to set 7 players at a time, and for every point, there's no substitution. So if you're playing the game, you're on the field, unless there's an injury. If there's an injury, you can come off the field, and if you come off the field for an injury, the other team has an option of trading a player out as well. So injury substitutions can substitute the team as well.
It's the way that way in soccer too.
And the teams that have a developed strategy tend to have set teams for offensive and defense. So there's a D team and an O team, kind of like in football. And for after they score a goal, the D team goes out for defense. But of course, you can score a goal on either defense because it's a turnover. You don't trade teams. So the D team has to be able to score as well as the defense. But the difference is the skills on offense and defense.
I see. So is it halftime here?
I believe it might be halftime.
Which is very funny to me. There's no score, there's no clock, there is a score, and that's how you judge when it's halftime, right?
Yeah, so it's basically the game is 13 points, and 7 points until you take halftime. So at halftime, it's 7 points. Let's quickly review again the basics of Ultimate Frisbee. It's a 7-on-7 sport. It begins with what you now call pull. One team throws it to the other team down the field, and it becomes much like a kickoff in football. It becomes that team's disc. They pick it up, and they will immediately try to throw it to other players on their team. And they do. They're a completed pass. And now they're again looking downfield. Oh, almost. And so that's a turnover. And as soon as it turns over, it becomes Wiley's disc, and they will pick it up and try and turn and score the disc downfield. And so that's a quick turn and throw, and now looking for into the end zone. The way you score goals in Ultimate is to catch the Frisbee in the end zone. But there's a turn by Wiley's. A turn's any time you throw it to someone on your team and it's not caught. It just goes out of bounds, it's blocked, caught by the other team.
So that's a turn or a turnover.
Right, that's a turnover.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a throw in the air. And almost a catch just out of reach. So again, a turnover back to Wiley's again. So Wiley's picks up the Frisbee, and they can instantly tap it from the ground and start answering the disc. Oh, but a drop. Oh, and a high floaty throw. Oh, caught by Wiley, so it goes back to them again. There's no, it's constant action in Ultimate Frisbee. You keep playing until you score a goal, or there's a timeout called, or an injury on the field. So there's the cut, and almost in the end zone. Oh, but a D by Timothy's team.
So if you were a coach coaching the team that's well behind,
Yeah.
how would you motivate them in the game? What would you tell them to focus on?
Well, it's a good question. And they actually did it there. They actually did a very fine job. They lined up in their stack, and they created space for themselves. And that's really the basics of a good ultimate team is having some sense of where you are in the field and trying to throw to open space. Oh, there's a quick throw there. Just dropped again, though. I mean, ultimate really gets a challenging sport because you have to both be able to run, throw, and catch. And it's often hard to do those things at the same time.
I was watching during halftime as they were throwing and catching quite easily undefended.
Yes. Oh,
and there's a good catch.
Good completion. And so she's looking downfield for someone to throw to. And there's a throw. Oh, got another catch. Excellent. All right, St. Timothy's keep on working down the field.
So St. Timothy's has
nice.
three in a row.
So there's still...
Now players could go backwards to get the...
Yes, you can throw any direction on the field. You can throw it any way, any direction with any hand. There's no wrong way to throw a Frisbee. There are two common ways, a backhand and a forehand. But any throw is fine. There's a nice forehand. Oh, but dropped in the end zone.
Took her eye off that one, I think, to catch it.
Yeah. I mean, the main thing about Ultimate is it actually is a very simple game. It's just throwing and catching. Mm-hmm. But the execution is always a challenge when the people try to stop you from doing that.
Mm-hmm. And if you just have 7 players on the field, there has to be a lot of movement, so there's got to be a fair amount of fitness involved.
Yes, it is. It's much like soccer. That it's constant running. Oh, and there's a goal. So the Wiley player caught the Frisbee in the end zone, had the disc in the end zone for a goal.
And I saw the Wiley player go and high-five her defender on the other team there right after that play.
Yeah, that's what neat. It's called Spirit of the Game. So yes, that was a score for Wiley. It's now 8-0. So the Phillies team actually had a good run there. They did several passes in a row, but they still have yet to score a goal. So the Wiley team is now circling up to have a chat about how that play went and cheering themselves up, while the Cincinnati's team is trying to pull themselves together and see if they can do even better this time.
So a tournament like this, how many tournaments would a team play in a year?
Usually there's in the spring season like this, there's a tournament every 2 or 3 weekends, at least at the club level and college level. For high schools, I think there's not quite that many tournaments yet. It's still a growing sport. Maybe one a month. I know actually there was one actually just a couple weeks ago though, so maybe a little more than that. YULA, the Youth Olympic League of Arlington, has been involved for many years now, and there's actually a growing number of teams in Arlington playing this great sport.
And the entry fees to this kind of tournament, do you suppose they're comparable to soccer? And
I think it's the only expense is the fields. The fields the only cost.
Well, in those sports we play the referees.
Yes, that's true.
And so they are not present in this game, right? Or at least not showing today.
Right. No, at this level and at most levels, there's no referees in Ultimate. At the highest levels now, they have often what they call observers, who make some active calls, like in and out line calls, but any foul call for most calls in Ultimate, the players themselves make the calls. Mm-hmm. But in a game that has observers, if the two players can agree, they can either take it back and replay it, or go to the observer.
Okay.
And the observer will make a ruling that will be final. It's a very interesting system where it's actually very cooperative. Where the real goal is to have the players resolve it if they can. If they can't agree how to resolve it, they go to the observers who will rule and make a final ruling.
That's kind of refreshing to see. We just saw our U23 men's national soccer team basically be defeated by gamesmanship from another country's team. It's the line between gamesmanship and sportsmanship seems to be getting broader.
So there was a turnover from the St. Timothy's team on some good D by Wiley, and Wiley is now looking to throw it downfield. A throw, nice D there by St. Timothy's. Some good D there, and a turnover back to them again. So they're picking up the disc, and they will try themselves get down the field. Oh, they got a nice, good stack there. Well done by them, and they're looking for an open player. There's an open toss. Oh, but the throw a little bit offline, and a turnover back to Wiley's again.
So the stack is kind of like in basketball, where you line up the players and then one sprints to the side from the line to get open. Is that the idea?
The stack is to try and, so basically you have a known space for everybody to be in a square space.
To create an open, okay.
Right, trying to create open space in the field. So there's a drop by Wiley's, and the disc goes back to St. Timothy's instantly, and they'll pick up the disc and try and get down the field to catch it in the other end zone. Oh, there's a cut. Oh.
Now does she have forever to throw it?
So, good question. No, she has, if there's a stall count in place, the player defending her gives her what's called a stall count, and that is 10 seconds. So the defender counts stalling 1, 2, 3, 1 second for each count, obviously. And if you reach 10, it's a turnover, and that becomes the other team's disc right away. So again, it's instant play, turning over back to going the other direction quite quickly.
No pressure when you get to stalling 9, right?
At that point, you just throw it generally. And often you have a contest. So say the player says 10 just as you're releasing it. You say, I said 10. The player says, no, I released it. And you have a contested stall. And it goes back to 8. Started stalling 8.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So
if it's contested, it drops back the 2 counts.
Right. You get 2 more seconds to try and throw it again. So there's another goal for Wiley's, who is really showing that they have a well-practiced team.
So our score is what now?
It's now 9-0. So Nicholas, our little scorer helper. Nicholas, make the score 9-0, please, for Wiley's.
And so they're looking for a final score of?
So this game, I believe, is being played to 13. Games are often played to 13 with a half at 7. And there's a time allocation for the game. You can't go beyond a certain point. But if you get if you go too long, you get a time cap placed on you, so the game can end before 13. But if you have the time, you play to the full score.
And I see all body types out here playing this game, tall and short, and everything in between.
Indeed, yes, there are definitely. Often you have players who are taller going long for the disc, and players who are shorter and quicker can be what's called the handlers. You generally have most teams have 3 positions, handlers, middles, and longs. So the handlers are people who are the best with the disc skills, and the longs are often taller and faster who go deep to catch it. And there's 2 primary theories of offense. One we mentioned before is the stack, which is basically you line up in the field on a line away from the frisbee. There's also something called the horizontal stack, which is sort of the opposite, where you actually line up across the field this way and cut in and out. But most teams at this level usually run what's called the vertical stack. You line up down the field and a straight line down the field. And that gives you each side of the field to catch.
Right, so that's how you would read left to right. That would be logical to and easier to see.
Right.
So I was talking to some of the parents here on the sidelines for the Wiley team, and I guess this team has been together 2 years, and once they grow enough, then they're not allowed to stay together as a combined team, and they'll form separate teams in their schools.
Right, they're 2 separate high schools, and they're allowed to do that as sort of a training ground to get people established. But once you're established, they want you to have your own school program, so they can have powerhouses developed who've just been together forever, and the idea is to create opportunity. So when they have more and more players playing, so the idea is to have each school with their own team.
And how many teams do you suppose are in this area? Do you have any idea?
I think that most of the high schools, I know that most high schools definitely have men's team, and the women's teams are still catching up a little bit. It's a great sport for women to play, and actually at the highest levels they do play co-ed games.
That's what I was hearing, yeah.
So it really is, that's what I've played co-ed many years. It's a great sport because there's, you can play, traditionally you play 4 of one sex, 3 of the other, and the team receiving the pull decides. And so if you want to have 4 women and 3 men, you can do that. If you want to have 4 men and 3 men, you can do that as well. And the other team has to match you in gender. Oh, there's another D by the Wally players. And again, it's an instant turnover and goes the other direction. So there's a quick stop. There's a nice stack from Wiley. And looking downfield, player number 32, CC Butcher with the disc, crosses it to swing around. Oh, but a nice D by Timothy's player, number 36. Good D there. And a turnover and goes back to Timothy's. They'll bring it up to the top of the end zone. Ronnie from number 6 from St. Timothy's, indeed. So she's looking for a dump now. Oh, a quick throw, but another D. By Wally's, it rolls into the end zone, so the player will walk into the end zone, pick up the disc, and walk back out again, and throw it from the end zone line. The defender has to stay as we said before, 1 disc length away from the player, but can block any direction. Oh, but a quick turn there and score for Wiley's.
That's pretty tough to defend.
Yes. So St. Nicholas, it's now 10-0. So put the 1 over and the 0 to make it 10.
So would a team play more than one match or game in a day?
Yes. So tournaments usually have, on average, 4 games per tournament, and you usually have pools that you play everybody in your pool, and the top teams will advance to a championship round, and lower teams will advance to a lower bracket championship. And
so they would have 2 games today and 2 games tomorrow based on their finish.
They would probably have 3 games today, and 1 game in the morning tomorrow, and at that point you send the playoff.
I see.
So you have a 5-team pool or 14 pool. To have you, and once the top finishers would advance to the playoff level, and they would have either 2 or 3 games in the playoffs tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
But I haven't been able to track down a schedule for this one yet, so we'll see. I'm not sure what actually happens for this tournament. So Wiley is now lining up for the pull again. They have their 7 players selected to play this point for them on defense. Throwing it downfield to the St. Timothy's Woodson team.
So the coach is there deciding who's going to be the 7 who are going to be in for this series. Is that what they call it, a series?
This play.
Yeah.
Okay. This point. Yeah.
This point. Okay.
Yeah. And I've seen 1 point last as long as 20 minutes in the game.
Oh.
It's just if you have it was actually an amazing game where there was just an amazing defense played. It's quite windy, so a lot of turnovers plays in the wind, and you can just play back and forth in 1 point for a very long time.
So that was all in one possession?
Right, on 1 20-minute point.
Wow.
Or you can have a point that lasts 5 seconds.
Okay.
A pull, a long throw back for a goal, and that's the score. So it can be a very quick game. So as you can see here again, there's no referees out here on the field. The players operate under what's called the spirit of the game. They call their own fouls. So if they have the disc and they're trying to throw it, and as they throw it, they get hit by the defender, they can call a foul. And if the defender agrees that they fouled them, the stall count for the 2 seconds they have will go back to 0 again, and the player who was fouled would be able to throw it again. But if they don't agree, and the stall count was high, there's a throw down the field, just out of bounds for St. Timothy's.
Well, the wind is coming up. That didn't help that throw.
No, pushes it out of bounds.
So is it pretty much woman-to-woman coverage or zone defense?
That they've been playing here is primarily person-to-person coverage, yes, where one player just covers another player. You can play what's called a zone defense, obviously. Oh, that was a close call.
What if 2 players have their hands on the disc? What happens?
Excellent question. when two players touch this at the same time, the frisbee stays with the offense.
Okay.
The advantage goes to the offense.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in a zone defense, you can basically, the only rules are for most ultimate, you cannot have two players within 3 yards of the disc. So you can have a circle of players around the frisbee. They all have to be at least 3 yards away from the frisbee, except for one player who's the defender, who's a distance away.
I see.
One player can be close.
Sort of a pocket of players, but they have
Right.
to have enough distance so that you could get the disc between them if you were throwing it.
Right, if you're a good thrower, yes. You basically, you often call it a wall of defenders. You're trying to get it, to try and stop the throw. Oh, so there's another D by the Wiley's team. They've had the ball, frisbee now close to the disc now close to the end zone, and there's a throw and a score for Wiley's. So that was number 77 for Wiley's, who is, 77 maybe? 37, Kat Sands, I think, to the goal there.
And she's caught a couple of them, I think. Or scored, I guess you
no,
would
there's
say.
Kat running on the field. So it wasn't Kat, not sure who it was, I'm sorry. We're trying to get these numbers, line up all the names here. So again, back to the discussion about how this game is refereed by the players themselves. The players on the field make all the calls. They call in and out calls. They call. You can call if a player with a frisbee moves their feet. You can call the defense call traveling, and they have to go back to where they were standing before and start again. There also is a pick called. You're not allowed to, if you're playing offense, you can't run your defender through a crowd of people to try and get away from them. So picks in basketball are allowed.
Right.
Picks in frisbee are not allowed.
Okay. And how about when you're catching the disc? Can you take a couple of steps once to stop yourself? How does that work?
The general rule basically is 3 steps, but basically you have to stop as quickly as you can. So you can't advance frisbee at all. If you catch the frisbee and run steps forward into the end zone, you walk back to where you were when you caught it. So you're not allowed to advance it at all while running. But obviously you can't stop instantly as soon as you touch it, because there's lots of things say no to that. And so basically it's your first point of contact when you catch the frisbee is where you are at the time.
Is where your position is. Okay.
Yes. And you also only have to have only 1 foot inbound for a catch. So if you have your first point of contact must be inbounds, but if your other foot lies out of bounds, you're still inbounds. It's just the first point in of contact. It's all is required, and it matters where you are, not where the frisbee is.
Okay.
So the frisbee's out of bounds, but you're inbounds. You're inbounds. That's all that matters.
I see. And if you get shoved out of bounds?
Then you can call a foul, and you're inbounds.
Okay.
Actually, the most amazing play in ultimate is called the greatest. The greatest is where the frisbee is out of bounds and there's no way for you to catch it inbounds. So you literally dive out of bounds and while in the air, throw it back into the bounds for a goal. It's called, I call it in my book, it's called the play, is you do that for back into the field for a catch. And for a goal, it's the greatest. The greatest is when you throw it back in bounds, from out of bounds, into the end zone for a goal.
So you catch it in the air without coming down and throw it back into play.
Right, before you touch the ground.
Okay.
Yes.
There's hesitation at its maximum.
Yeah. And sort of the opposite of that is what's called the Callahan goal. Callahan goal is when you're on defense and you are defending. Nice cut there by Timothy's, but a drop on the disc, so turn right away to Wiley's. A Callahan goal is when you catch the frisbee off a throw.
Nice catch by 42.
By Wiley's. Very excited. Number 32.
42.
Oops, sorry, 42. Nora Wagner. Beautiful running catch there in the end zone. And yes, that was a goal, Nicholas. It's now 12-0 for Wiley's. So one more point.
Getting close there, yeah. So the Callahan, yes.
Callahan goal is when you're playing defense and the offense throws the frisbee in the end zone you're trying to score in as a defender, and you catch it on that throw. So the defender catches it in the air in the end zone they're trying to score in. It is a goal right away. There's no need to go back to out of the end zone. You just score it instantly. It's instant goal for the defender.
Okay.
So you can, if you catch the offense's throw as a defender in the end zone you're trying to score in, it's a goal.
So are there new techniques? I know in other sports, if somebody develops a new serve, it can be named after that player. Is there such a thing in Ultimate?
There's constant evaluation of techniques in Ultimate, and there's more and more, for example, more and more players throwing a throw called the scuba, which is a throw you throw upside down. That used to be, it's not that new, but it's definitely been growing in popularity. It's basically an upside down throw that curves away and then back into the player. And it's actually a very useful throw to break a zone because it gets you, it can hit open spots in the field without having to make, you can throw it high and it'll drop down into the right spot. So there are, while we're talking about throws, there are 4 main kinds of throws in Ultimate: the forehand, the backhand, the hammer, and the scuba. The backhand, which you usually see people throwing on the beach, is to take the frisbee and throw it to your side. The forehand is just the opposite way. You turn it and throw it more like from the opposite side. Hard to describe that. I can picture it so well, but, but I'll throw it for you. So that's a pull.
Forehand describes it, like a forehand with a tennis racket
yeah,
or
tennis
a
forehand, exactly. Like a tennis forehand. So here's and so the frisbee just hit the player, and technically that's a turnover, but they're going to let them, I think Wiley's going to let them have the frisbee. Which is very kind of them considering they're up 12-0, so it seems appropriate. So there's
so they can agree on that.
Yes. So they're looking for a good throw. There's a throw and a catch. Nice catch by the St. Timothy's Woodson player there. There's a good cut. Another completion there, 2 in a row.
I see white players going long, but they can't get it that far.
Yes, they're much better space.
They're spreading out the field,
which is very important. So now trying to get a good cut. Oh, there's a good throw.
There is a good throw.
Oh,
ouch.
but defended by the back.
Hitting the back of the head.
That was a forehand throw. So let's watch throws from in here. She's looking to throw a forehand, and now turns to her backhand. A little high throw, a nice high backhand release there. And here's somebody cutting, and now they're trying to get a stack. There's another. Oh, a quick series of throws here. Oh,
Number 72 has gone long,
curving away.
Yeah.
To a turnover and back to the St. Timothy's team. A quick throw. Oh, but right through her hands. So it's rolling downfield. The ball, and they'll stop it. And where they pick it up is where it turns over. So number 32 for Wise has it. That's CC Butcher. Throws downfield. A quick dump back. So a long
That's a nice
throw,
long flick.
And floating nicely, but a little bit too far. So that was a pretty throw, but a little bit too far for her receiver. So now St. Timothy's picking the frisbee up and looking to get it back downfield, walking up the top of the end zone. Oh, and a big throw.
Just to give herself some space. Why not, right?
Yeah. Oh, but it came back and missed under the ground. A quick turn and go.
That was almost like the scuba. Was that, what do you call that? Accidentally.
Oh, so here's a quick turn and run down by Rachael Hess and the Wiley players running quickly downfield. Oh, was that a timeout called or a goal? Oh, it was a goal called. So that is game 13-0. So the Wiley's players have won this game. As I said before, it's like the first second game ever for Timothy's, and so they're just learning the game. And they said they've only been playing for 4 weeks now, so it's really a new game for them. But they did well. They were running hard out there. They had good completions, and they learned a lot.
They sure did. Do you know where they come from?
St. Timothy's is a school, I believe, in Maryland, but I'm actually not sure. Oh, so now, in a tradition here in Ultimate, they'll do a post-game cheer. Often happens in high school games and internationally. The teams will do cheers for one another after the game.
So they're spontaneously organizing cheers for the other team.
Exactly. Yeah.
So in soccer, we did high five lines and tunnels for the other team to run through. This is the ultimate version.
Right. We do a cheer. Oh, here's lining up for the cheer.
Looks like Washington Wiley has a.
Oh no, they're doing a lineup as well.
Organized.
All right, just a high five line. This is Stephen Young and
Wendy LeBolt. Thanks for joining us.
Good to have you here.